Okay, hi everyone. This is Cindy, and this is her touch up. She came to me with orange brows. I mean, not all of this was orange, but orange in there, and I color corrected that. And this, then I applied blonde, and with the machine, and it is patchy. And so today, what I'm going to do is go up one color to light brown, and um, I'm bringing my table toward me, and you can't really see, but I grabbed the table with that tissue in my hand. And then I'm taking a cotton swab and putting it over here in case I need to scratch my nose. So what I'm going to be doing here, I've already sanitized her brow area, is I'm just going to use a 0.183R and at speed 1 do a blood line. I mean, I'm going to use some pigment, but mostly I'm just trying to get the outline. Then I'll scratch, and then I'll start doing the powder brow touch-up. But first I'm going to put the needle in the machine. No, today, I think it's because Cindy here has just gotten, so I'm taking my needle, my cartridge out of its container and getting it securely in. Turning the machine on so that the needle extends and trying to examine it to make sure that I don't see a bend or anything like that. Which if I, with this machine, if there's a bend, you hear it, which is great. It's better than the client feeling it. All right, so no anesthetic is happening yet. But, and so this is Beauty Angels light blonde, light brown, so it's one step up from what she currently has. Her actual brow hair is black with some gray, well, maybe not black, it's dark brown with some white coming in. But because of the discoloration from the previous tattoo and everything, I don't want to go too dark and actually try to match the hairs that I see there. The color that you have here, is that acceptable to you, considering that, you know, can't really do removal? I mean, we could, but I wouldn't recommend it. I checked the measurements. This one needed to be made a little bit longer. So I'm going in now. Usually I would be doing this with a 1. Turn your head a little bit this way. So notice my 3-point stretch that's happening. There's no pigment there. So this is a 0.183, but I have it on speed 1. And I'm doing this only because I had to extend the tail. How was that for you?
Thank you.
Okay. But I don't really think I need to outline any of the rest. Now, on this brow, was some of the previous tattoo underneath here? And I couldn't cover it? Okay,
Yes,
that's what
correct.
I thought. So let me just get that area outlined so that I don't wonder what's going on. I kind of remember that. But the rest of it, I'll just work with it as it is. Okay. And I'm going to wipe it. Make sure that I got an outline, and I did. this should develop as it oxidizes. So what I'm going to be doing right now is scratching to open the skin so I can apply anesthetic. They don't like this, even though I'm still using the exact same needle I was using before. And I'm dipping it into anesthetic, but I'm not doing just nice little slow, delicate motions. I'm trying to move rapidly, not deeply, but I want a little bit of blood because I want to know that I'm getting down there below the epidermis. How is that pain level?
It's okay.
You know, and there is pigment right now still on the needle from when I did the outline, but that's fine. Okay, and now I'm going to generously apply the anesthetic, and I use ultra duration.
Thank you, Martha.
And so since the skin is open now, this anesthetic will sink in there, get in there, and you don't need to like open every little last millimeter of skin because the anesthetic spreads. All right, I'm gonna, just while I'm in the mood, I guess, take care of this other side. So have you tip over, doing a good stretch. It's moving rapidly here. Speed 1. If I had used my 0.181p to do the outline, because I'd already done this on or so, I didn't need to do another outline. I just needed to check how it was. I would be doing the scratching with that needle. And I'll get anesthetic working on here, even though I won't be working here for a little bit. She's probably numb by now over here. This stuff works quickly. So I'm gonna maybe put like one more drop of the light brown in my ring. And I'm gonna stir it and see if I feel like I want to add thinner, because I have learned to work without thinner for a lot of brow work. But in this case, I'm going to add just a tiny bit. I don't know why. I always shake the thinner. It's not like I shake. So I'm just adding 1 drop of thinner to about 2.5 drops of the pigment. I know you can't see that, but... Okay, I'm gonna have her turn toward me like this, and I'm just using this cotton pad to wipe off the anesthetic, and we're just gonna test how things are. I'm taking it up to a 6. Well, right now the only thing coming out of it is anesthetic, so that probably didn't hurt too much. How is that?
Good.
Can you feel it?
Really, not too much.
Okay. I prefer them to not feel it at all. So for the tail, I forgot to say, I have my needle extended about 1.5 to 2 millimeters, which is what you want, more or less, for this technique. No color has taken yet. That's pretty normal. I'm just going to put more anesthetic on. And really, it just does not take long with ultra duration. So the tip of the tail is hard to do with the same type of movement that you're using for the rest of the brow. So I'm kind of doing the border first, reinforcing that margin that's already there. On this brow, I need to make it a little bit thicker to match the other brow. How's your pain?
Good.
And now I'm going to start going really fast. So this is called a pendulum movement. Can you see my 3-point stretch? My pinky and these 2 fingers. Moving along. I'm going to be adding some width right about here, because the other one, the old tattoo, is so prominent. Be careful when you're going around the corner. And let's just do pendulum back and forth very rapidly. So when I first saw her, she had old orange brows. And so what I did then was correct with olive. So I had to make olive. And then I use blonde on her because blonde is ashy. So I didn't want to add warmth. Now this is going to be warmer than the blonde. Also darker, because I want to get a little bit more pigment saturation. So I'm kind of doing the outline and then going inside and just rapidly back and forth with that light pendulum movement. You don't want to press. You want the machine to do the work for you. Going kind of carefully here because I am trying to thicken this one a little bit to be like the other one. Are you doing okay? Now coming to the head, I am not going to do much with the border there, the margin, because I can see it too much already on the bottom, not so much on the top here. But I don't want to add to that effect. So I'm just kind of doing unidirectional sweeps here. And now, remember, when you're in the thicket of the hair, you can do, I don't know why I just said remember, but I've mentioned this before. You can do circular movements. And I'm just going to be really cognizant here at the head, keeping it light. I don't want to add, kind of has this darkness to it from the way it settled last time. So that's really normal for a first pass. You barely see anything except what was there before. I add anesthetic. I'm going to stir what's in my ring. Checking for consistency, and just with the Beauty Angels pigments, if you stir them frequently, you don't get the whole drying phenomenon. And then I'm just wiping this off with my round cotton swab. And back to where we were. So I had to lengthen this brow, so I'm trying to get it married with the rest of the brow. How's your pain?
Good.
I would get more saturation more quickly if I used a higher gauge, like a 0.25. But I knew that I was going to have to do some lining as well, so I didn't want to. I wanted something I could use for both. And here's that area I'm making a little bit thicker. But other than that, I'm trying to avoid her margins because I don't want them to have an accumulation of dark pigment. I'm in the round, I'm going around in the hair thicket area. And second wipe. Adding more anesthetic. Pretty soon she'll be completely numb and I won't even need to keep adding it. She might already be there. But when you use an anesthetic that contains epinephrine, like this, it's going to bring blood. It's a vasoconstrictor and a vasodilator at the same time, so it's moving blood away from some areas and therefore pushing it into other areas. So you'll get more bleeding than if you didn't use anything at all, which, you know, obviously I wouldn't do that. Working slowly and carefully on the tail. Otherwise, not doing much reinforcement of the border in this area and just doing my pendulum motions back and forth rapidly. But I have to be careful as I go around the corner of the arch, both above and below. This is where I've extended things, but it hasn't taken yet. Continuing to do pendulum movements. Circles in the hair area, because it's just too hard to do pendulum there. I might need to even take this up a step in color. But since what I did on you before darkened to this, what we see here today, but I'm just worried that you might not be able to get you full coverage if I stay with the light color, because of what's come through from the previous healing. And the other thing I like about using this particular pigment is once I get away from I'm just removing the glove so I can go get the medium. And another little head condom for the cap. And everything. So this redness that she has is just part of whatever. She says that she's had it for a long time. She is a nurse, right? Mm-hmm. And so I am kind of leaving it to her discretion to, it doesn't look like, you know, something like psoriasis or dermatitis to me. But it is some kind of inflammation. So I'm taking a little bit of the medium brown, and I'm going to add a drop in here. Remember, don't touch the lid, the tip of your pigment bottle to the what's in your ring. Okay, that's good. I'm going to add a drop of thinner. There's a part of me that wants to go over some of those darker strokes with like a yellow. Just go directly over them with the yellow. Okay, starting down at the tail again. This is a slightly darker, just slightly darker. And mostly staying inside, not wanting to add to the existing dark borders. I'm definitely going to do an orange mask on her. Right here I'm going slowly because this is a new line that I'm creating. Thickening what's there. How's your pain level? The hair thicket, I do circles. And then just being careful up here at the front because it's already dark in the outline area, so I'm not going to add to that. Except insofar as I'm trying to kind of thicken that a little bit. Okay, now I'm getting a little bit more color than I want, but then I was getting. So I think going with that light brown alone was a little too light. Considering what the blonde had, you know, it's your immune system that dictates how the color is going to settle and especially the tone it's going to settle into. And blonde is already, in the Beauty Angels line, blonde is already ashy. But I was trying to counteract orange that she had there. And I did that successfully. This little thing I'm not worried about. That's not going to really be there. Did I tell you guys I'm on a speed 6? So I do the preliminary stuff like the outline and the scratching at a speed 1, and any correction I do at 4. I just don't want to overwork their skin. If I did everything on a 6, that would be too much and unnecessary. know how I managed to keep getting it over there on your cheek. Okay, it's starting to look less patchy and a little more uniform. Just putting more anesthetic there. So the other brow is thicker right here because the old tattoo went down there. And there's nothing I could do about that much. I'm going to try one thing though in a bit. So again, it's hard in the tail to go really quick. I can see that I don't have a firm enough grasp on her, so I wipe to get rid of any lymphatic fluid. You can also put this stuff around your fingers, but I don't. Now right here where I'm adding width or thickness, I'm going slowly. And now I'm back to my normal speed, pendulum movement. In the hair, doing the circles. But really avoiding the part of her brow head that's kind of turned dark gray. So it's filling pretty nicely and getting uniform. I just don't want more grayness happening. Do you feel like you're completely numb at this point when I'm working on you?
Pretty close.
Okay. So the rule is 3-point stretching as taut as you can, and then go more. And if you're like, well, I just can't, find a way. If you don't have good pain control of your client, that's one reason, is that you're not stretching taut enough. Always bring the brow up onto the forehead bone. Don't work on it down there in the orbital socket. I always remind people that this here is eyelid skin, the thinnest skin in the body, so it's very susceptible to things. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is kind of clean this needle, which is not easy to do. I'm wiping it with my wipe, and I'm going to stick it in the anesthetic. And I'm putting it down. Or putting it back in the cradle. And I'm going to so I'm taking my ring and I'm putting it like that because I need to take my gloves off, or at least one of them. And I'm grabbing the yellow and the orange. And in this thing, there's 2 empty spots because I just always prepare for that kind of thing to happen. And I'm adding the little holders on the yellow and the orange. While she's just sitting here waiting for me to do something, I'm gonna add anesthetic onto the other brow and onto the one we're working on. Meanwhile, I'm going to take some yellow and put it in a drop of it in a pigment holder. I'm not going to do anything with the orange yet. I'm turning my machine down to a 4. And I'm going into the yellow now, and I'm going to go over these areas that are really dark. How is that for you, comfort-wise?
Good.
You know, yellow does not correct gray, but it does help with dark. I think this is the old tattoo, which my yellow won't do anything to that, but you have to be careful of that not turning the area green, because yellow with a color that's close to black, which this isn't, but does yield olive or green. She's crying because I'm hurting her so much. Okay. Now I'm taking the orange and something is in that pigment cup, like some there. Not disinfectant. what's that called? The anesthetic. All right, so I'm putting some orange in here. So I've got, I don't know if every time I think you guys can see this, you can't really. A little bit of yellow, my anesthetic, that's ultra duration, a little bit of orange, and the main pigment that I'm working with. And I am now going to dilute that orange a little bit. I just added 1 drop. Stir it with my stirring stick. And now, still at speed 4, I'm going to add some more ultra duration, make sure she's doing okay. Okay, and I'm going into the orange now, and I'm just trying to counteract the graying that has happened up here in the head. The theory is that this will turn it brown. It's not going to lighten it, but it will turn it brown. This is old, and I don't even know that I want to be. That's just not good shape there. I don't want to. I don't know if you can see this area right here. That's from the old tattoo. I really don't want to be adding anything to it. And I'm just going to go through and add a layer of orange on the whole thing. Usually I do my color correction stuff before, but I didn't know how things were going to turn out until I started doing the actual pigment. Okay, just drop cotton on the floor, reach over and get another one. Never pick anything up off the floor. Okay, I don't expect that to have done a lot right now, but I'm going to take a look. I'm going to continue to add it in some of these places that are gray. Right now I'm doing little tiny circles because I'm wanting to open this. I've been avoiding, I haven't opened this part really yet because I didn't want to add anything to it to make it darker. I'm just going very rapidly, pendulum motions with the orange. and some round motions, especially at the arch. I don't have enough orange in there, it keeps hitting the bottom. And that is all I'm going to do right here. I'm going to deglove and get something I need. These are going to be on the supply list that everyone's going to have access to. So first I'm going to put, it's just an eyeshadow sponge applicator. I also use the lip gloss applicators, but I like, these are bigger so I can get more coverage out of them. That was tissue for her eyes. Alright, I'm going to wipe this off now. Already things are looking more uniform, but now I'm going to take the orange and apply it as an actual mask using, that's why I like these bigger things. I don't want to keep it under the mask for too long, like just 5 minutes. And I'm going to start over on the other side. Now, since you've already seen me working on that side, and I'm going to be doing the same thing over here, I'm going to turn it off, and we'll see you possibly later, depending. I don't even know how much of that you could see. Oh well, you have the idea, I hope.